Okay, this is Anthea. I'm going to walk you guys through how I edit one of her photos, probably this one. As you know, if you watch my previous video, you know I usually start off with, first of all, I like to edit in Lightroom. It's a lot faster. I can do multiple photos very quickly. And in Lightroom, I usually start off with preset, one of my presets. I try to find one that, kind of tweaks the colors to my liking. Sometimes if I don't find one that I like, then obviously I'm just going to start from scratch. But I think I like this one. Yeah, it looks pretty good for black and white. I usually do black and white and color in Lightroom as opposed to converting a color photo to black and white in Photoshop. I don't like the way that looks. I like to convert. Yeah, Lightroom, there's a lot more creativity for black and whites. You can do it in Photoshop, it just takes a lot longer. Anyway, back to this photo. Yeah, I mean, overall, that preset looks really good for her skin. Just tweaking a few things here and there. I will probably bring this photo into Photoshop just to show you guys how I edit edit in Photoshop. It's just going to be a few things. There's some flyaways on her hair at the top of her head that I think I'm going to get rid of, and just a few little things that I'll fix in Photoshop, and that'll be it. Here, yeah, those pants are really hot, so I'm just kind of bring the color down a little, bring the highlights down just a bit on that. Normally my masks are pretty sloppy, so I think I'm just being very sweet and doing this for you guys, but normally I usually don't care. Because you're never going to notice. Those are things nobody's ever going to notice. Only the photographer that edited the photo may notice. I think it looks really good straight out of the way, straight out of the box. Yeah, it's a little dark as opposed to her face. Her skin's really good, so it's not much needed there. Maybe just a few little things. It's hard to tell pimple versus mole. I think this is a pimple here. Actually, maybe it's a mole. C'est la vie. Yeah, that one. Those hairs are on her forehead. Right now, they don't bother me. Once you touch those, if you start trying to remove those, you just might as well, retouch her entire forehead. And that's just not the look that I'm looking for. A highly retouched look. I'm trying to leave it as much as natural as possible. Um, that's my overall goal. I want it to look like it wasn't really retouched. And if you think about it, I'm not really doing much other than editing contrast and shadows here and there, lightening here and there, darkening here and there, and just removing a few blemishes that most people may not even notice anyway. Yeah, I think that looks really good. Again, her skin is really good. She has no makeup on at all. I like to shoot with minimal to no makeup. It's easy to make a great portrait with no makeup as opposed to fixing bad makeup. It's next to impossible to do. Yeah, that's it. I think this is done. Black and white, done. Let's move on to color. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's kind of blue. No, nope, nope, nope. I like this one. This one's very neutral. A neutral image in Lightroom, you can tweak a lot. Since I'm bringing it into Photoshop anyway, I can do a lot of tweaking there as well. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. It's a little more contrast. I can reduce some of that in Lightroom. There's so many that look really good, it's hard to decide which direction to go in. Um, but I think this is just a good general starting point. That shirt is really blue. It's kind of bugging me, but I can fix that later. Why do I have the noise reduction on that? That's a negative. All right, I think it looks really good. Um, yeah, I didn't edit that in the black and white. I gotta go back. Hang on one sec. Sometimes I'll do the black and white version first. Sometimes I do the color version first. It really varies. There's no I don't have a hard set rule either way. In some cases, if the person has a skin that I know that I'm gonna have to edit a lot, I'll do the black and white version first because the black and white really shows a lot of those blemishes. But all right, here we are, Photoshop. First thing, liquify. I want to fix her hair. I want to fix her hair, and I think that's about it. Oh, this little shirt thing sticking out here could be left, but I don't really like it. Her hair is a bit uneven, which happens a lot. A lot of it's the angle that you shoot at, and maybe their head is a bit down, so it looks kind of like they have a huge hairline and it's really high, or maybe sides are uneven. I just fix that just a little bit. I mean, it's just very slight, but it makes a bit of a difference. Okay, so now I want to fix those the bulk of the work is basically just fixing these little tiny little flyaway hairs at the top. And there's a lot of ways you can do it. I just do it kind of quick and dirty using the clone tool, just a big old clone tool, and just clone the background because the background's neutral, and then just kind of erase everything else around it. You know, you can do it a lot of different ways. This is typically how I do it with a neutral background. And then again, I'm pretty sloppy with it. It's one of those things that you're not really going to notice unless I point it out. You want to avoid making the hairline look too precise. Typically, it will have some variance and few hairs around here and there. But at the same time, you don't want it to be distracting. And those little hairs are a bit distracting. If you zoom in on a photo, that I mean that's the first thing that I see. I think there's some hairs on these hairs on the right here. I want to fix those as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's bugging me. Looks pretty good. I know some of you guys are saying, I mean, no mask, nothing. He's just clone in the background and a huge brush. That's right. That's it. Real simple, quick, and dirty. It works if you do it well. Okay, that looks fine. Now, unfortunately, since I do black and white and color separately, now I have to go and do it again. So hopefully I can get it the same. A lot of times it won't be exactly the same. So if you flip back and forth between the photos, you'll see slight differences. But hey, it is what it is. The world isn't perfect. All I want to know, does it look good in the end or not? And I'm doing this with the trackpad. I don't use a pen. I know a lot of you guys are cringing, but yeah, I don't really need a pen. I just don't do any heavy editing that requires a pen. I think that looks kind of lopsided. I missed a spot. Yeah, the side is missing. I think I'm gonna have to. Yeah, okay, that little area there. There we go. Now for the guys on the side. If I had a different type of background other than black or white, yeah, this probably would not be the way that I do this. I would have to do it another way. I think that looks okay. Just one final check here. I think I want to reduce the opacity of this just a tiny bit. Okay, that's done. Now let's see what else I can do here. Just let me even out the hair just a tiny bit. It's just a little uneven. Now, I apologize if you guys hear a lot of background noise. It's my apartment's on the street on Broadway, so it's really busy in New York, and the noise just comes in. It's just unavoidable. All right, that looks pretty good. It's very slight, but it bugs me either way, so I have to fix it. Didn't fix it exactly. I think what happened with this photo, it's not exactly the same as the other because I believe I had a lens correction on on the preset for the black and white, so it's slightly different. the The lens was adjusted for distortion with that black and white preset, and I didn't notice that, so it's slightly different when I try to do the same thing with to do the liquify with the same area as the color. So I have to tweak it a little bit. Okay, that looks fine. adjust the tone a bit. I don't want it. I don't want too much contrast, but I don't want it to be too flat. It's like a fine line. It's hard to find sometimes. A lot of times I'll edit an image, let it sit for a couple days, and then come back to it and have a look and see, um, you know, what am I missing? What, does it look okay still? Yeah, that looks fine. This one, I kind of like the color as it is, maybe just a little less. And I'll reduce the saturation, but also bump up the sometimes the blacks and the whites, and that'll bring a little bit of the color back. I think that looks good. I'm debating should I remove that V flat tape there. I probably normally I don't really care, but in this case it's so prominent. I'm just gonna try to get rid of it. Content aware fill seems to work pretty well. Sometimes if you eliminate a lot of the unnecessary stuff from the sample area, it makes a cleaner fill from content aware fill. So I just want to get rid of her hair and shirt and anything else that's in that sample area. Let's see if it looks any better. It's okay. It's still there's still a little difference between the light and the dark areas. Yeah, you can see that line there. Let's see if I can get rid of that. It's always going to be a little difference, but I want it to be a better gradient. Actually, that's okay. This little bottom part here is going to bug me. Okay. Back to the clone stamp. Big old brush. Here we go. It's the fun part. All freehand, no pen. That looks pretty good. Look at that. I can still see the little gradient there, but I think it works. That's a little better. I could play around with it. But for now, let's just leave it at that. Now I have to do this again for the color, and I will heed what I learned and hopefully do it faster. It still looks the same. That's fine. That's fine. I don't even know why I bother doing that step. I should just, next time I'm just going to go straight to the clone stamp. Why am I even bothering? Straight to the clone stamp. The only thing I will clone is the background, or maybe material of clothing, something small like that. I really don't clone skin. I really don't retouch skin that way. It's just not me. It's just not my style. That gradient on the right side there is still bugging me. It's, that's a little better. That's okay. That's passable. If I decrease the blacks, I can make it stand out even less, but I'm not going to bother with that. There's this little part here that's left. No one would ever know except me. so I need to fix it. Aye, it's close enough, but close enough. Okay, looks good. I think the contrast is good. All we have to do now is, yeah, her skin looks great. All we have to do now is just save the images, and that is it. Thanks for watching, and I should have another edit of Anthia coming up soon, and I will link that when I get it uploaded as well.